Hi and welcome back. I'm Yohei. In this second video, I want to create the API part of the web app. So you can see in the screen, this is what we achieved in the first video. And this is not connected to the API, so that every price is the same, 1000.11. But what we want to create is this one. So every price is different, and it is connected to the current price of each currency. So if you don't watch my first video, you can go back to it, or if you're not interested in the CSS and JSX part of it, and you are only interested in the API part, you can start from here. It's fine. Okay, so let's get started. So first one I want to show you is the Alpha Vantage. Alpha Vantage is one of the many financial API, and it has, yes, now we are in the page of the Alpha Vantage, and as it says, it has stock APIs in JSON, Excel, and Google Sheets. In this web app, we want to use JSON, but you can also use Excel as well. And it has data of Forex and cryptocurrencies, data fees. And it also has stock information, and it has technical indicators, which is great. And it has a global coverage. So just Google Alpha Vantage and click the first one here. That's the first one here. And after go to the Alpha Vantage, I don't know whether this Alpha Vantage is the best one, but as I said in my first video, I think this is a reasonably good one because it is had a broad coverage and it is free. It is free for 5 API calls per minute and 500 API calls per day. It's free. Okay, so let's go down here and you can find a link here. Claim your free API key. So please click here. So in the next page, please fill out here which of the following best describes you. So you can select either of them, but maybe you are a software developer or a student. I click developer, and organization here, you can choose anything. Your handle name or your actual name, or if you have your own company, you can put your company here, but basically you can put anything here. And write your email here, and click here, and press get free API key. And after you press this key, you will show your own API key in this area. And please keep this API key secret and copy and paste it to a local file. Keep it secret. Okay, so after you get this API key, the place you... Okay, let's create the file to save this API key. Okay, so let's now copy it after you create it and go back to our local project. And inside the SRC, create a new file called endpoints.js. Endpoints.js. Because it is API endpoints. And inside this endpoints.js, please create a const API key equal double quotation and put your API key inside here and save it. And because I don't want to share my own key here, I press simple key here. please put actual key inside here. And I want to import my key from a different place. Import key from API key. So put my API key in a different place, and I just import it here. But you don't have to do it. You just have to put the key directly into here. Constant API key equal double quotation and put the key here. Paste the key here. Okay. This is the first step. And in the next step, go back to our Alpha Vantage website and click the documentation. And when we click the documentation, at the top 1/3 of the page, maybe around here, you can see FX monthly, FX weekly, and FX daily. Not FX daily. Intraday. This one, foreign exchange FX. Just simply state FX. And here, you can see examples. And this is the endpoint we want to use. For example, this one is converting US dollar to Japanese yen. And this one is converting Bitcoin to Chinese yuan. So when we look at this API key very carefully, it has the same component in the first half, https://www.alphavantage.co is the same. And the latter half is different. Query, function currency, exchange rate, and from currency, this has USD inside here, and this one has BTC inside here, and to currency equals to this one has JPY, and this one has CNY. And at the very end, it has the same API key equal something. So we have to put our API key into this here. Okay. So let's copy. Oh, we can actually click it. So when we click it, we can see this demo, see the result by this demo API key. And here is the result. Here is the JSON API we'll get by the GET request. So let's copy this URL and put it into endpoints.js. And just quote by double quotation. Okay, so to connect to Alpha Vantage, to connect with the outside API endpoints, we can connect it by fetch library. But in this video, I want to use Axios library because it is more convenient to use. It has more additional features, and it has a JSON response. Fetch does not respond a JSON, so we have to convert the response to JSON, but Axios returns JSON directly, so we can use it easily by the Axios. So the first step is, as always, install Axios in our local environment. So make sure you are in the current, you are in the right directory. So press ls, not here, but ls in the terminal, ls, and make sure you are in the correct directory. And here, type npm install Axios. Yes. It will take a minute. Now the installing session is running. And while it is installing, I want to create another file here. So I don't need app.css, I don't need surprise.css anymore. We'll use it later. And I want to create another file called local Axios. Local Axios.js. Yes. And inside the local Axios.js, I want to import Axios here. Import Axios from Axios. Yes. And code something here. And at the very end of this file, I want to export default instance. Okay. So what I want to do inside this local, not access, local Axios. So I have to rename it. Local Axios.js. So what I want to do inside this local Axios.js is I want to create a instance of an Axios object. So we can use Axios without creating a object, but by creating an object, we can put a base URL or the URL shared in common inside this object. So what I'm saying is, so let's go back to the API documentation. So for these two API endpoints are different. It has a unique URL, but they share the same URL from the beginning to the middle. HTTPS www.vantage.co is the same for these two endpoints. So we can put, oh yes, now the installation is ready, is done, and now we can use it. So I save it, and hopefully it will not crash. Okay, save this. Yes. So let's go back to our app, and it's not crash. Yes. So we installed it, and inside the local Axios.js, we want to create the instance and put the base URL inside our object. Okay, so let's create it. So const instance equal Axios dot create a instance inside it, and inside here base URL, I want to place this base URL to the one I copy here from the start to here. And because it should be separated by slash, this is the last slash we have. After this point, we don't have any slash here, so we have to cut it here. Cut here. And paste it to the local Axios here. Yes. You can take other arguments here, but in this example, I want to use just base URL here. Yes, single argument inside this dot create function of Axios. Okay, fine. And inside the endpoints, I want to create some object inside here. So const object, not const endpoints, because it is the unique endpoints for each API endpoint. Const endpoints equals, and inside here, in this app, I want to create 4 endpoints. The first one is USD, not USD. The first one is BTC USD. Yes, BTC USD, BTC USD column, and I want to use backtick here because I want to put this API key inside our URL, and I want to use this one. And paste it into here. Yes. But this sample endpoint, API endpoint, is converting USD to Japanese yen, but this one is BTC to USD, so I have to change here. Not USD, but BTC. And not JPY, but USD. Yes, it's fine. And at the very end, API equal not demo, but we want to put our actual API key into here. So this is why I use backticks here. By backticks, you can call JavaScript code inside this text. So press $ and curly braces, and inside here you can simply call API key. Yes, that's fine. And copy this line, paste it, and make the others. Oh, I have to put comma here, comma, because this is a simple object. Key value pair, key and value, key and value, key and value, key and value. And the second one is BTC to not Ethereum, ETH to USD. So the from currency is ETH. The to currency is USD. And the third one is euro dollar. Euro dollar. So let's go back. No, it's USD to Japanese yen. The third one is USD to Japanese yen. So USD JPY, JPY, and here from currency is USD, and the to currency is JPY. Yes. The last one is euro to USD. EUR from currency is EUR, and the to currency is USD. Yes. And the last thing we have to do here is to export this endpoint. Export default endpoint. Endpoint, yes. Done. Okay, so let's go back to showprice.js and use our endpoints. The first step in the showprice.js is to create a variable to store the price. We have to store the price from the API. And to store the price, I want to use the use state here, the hooks, one of the hooks inside the functional component. So if we use hooks, use state or use effect here, we have to put the functions inside the function, inside the component here. So in the showprice.js, showprice is a function here, and we have to put use state and use effect inside here. Not in this JSX, but outside the return of JSX and inside the function showprice. So put it here. So first one is const, and in this array, the first one is the variable itself. So we want to call it price. And the second one is a function to change the value of this variable. And we call it set price. Equal use state. Use state, and this is a function, and the initial value is nothing. Yes. Save it, and we have to import it. So put the cursor at the end of the use state and press Control space and install it. Yes. Import use state from React. Yes. And the next step is to use the use effect. And inside the use effect, I want to use the Axios. So use effect. So I don't explain much about use state, use effect inside this tutorial. But what it actually doing is it is a function to control the lifetime event inside the web application. So we have many lifetimes event in here. So when the first rendered is the most typical one, or for example, the other might be when the user put an input, it rendered. So it is another example of a lifetime event in a web application. Or when the user put the sign out button or anything, there are many lifetime events in a web application. So in this app, I want to use just one lifetime event when it is the first rendered. So go back. So if we go back to our app here, the API in this app is called just once at the beginning. Yes, just once at the beginning it is called. And it is never called later. So no matter what I'm doing in this app, when I change the size of it, when I drag it or anything, it does nothing. And it is controlled by the hooks, the use effect. So let's go back to our showprice.js, and to use the use effect, just write use effect. And inside here, no, I want to write from the beginning. Yes, inside here, we have two arguments. The first argument is a function. I write an arrow function here, and the second argument is it called dependency array. So inside this dependency array, you can put a variable which triggers this function. And when you left this dependency array, the second variable blank, this function is called only once at the beginning when it rendered. So in this case, we want to leave it blank. Okay. And inside this function, we want to set another function here. And because this is a fetching on API, we have to wait it, and we have to structure this function as a async function to wait the response from the alpha vantage. So we have to state async at the beginning, async function, and we want to call this function fetch data. Fetch data, and inside this function we want to put other things inside here, but I want to write here, we want to call this function after we make it inside this use effect. We have to call it, so I have to put here before I forget to write here, and I also need a semicolon here. Yes, and let's write the code inside. Not here. I put it in the wrong place. Not here. Not here. But it should be inside here. Yes. Inside the first argument of the use effect. And this is the second argument, so I have to put it into here. And inside this function, I make another function, and inside here, it's time to use the Axios. So I'll wait Axios. And Axios.get. This is a very basic code of Axios. When you make a GET request, we can code Axios.get. And we get the endpoints. Yes. And we get a response from this Axios, and then so put then curly braces, and after that we can catch it, catch something, catch the error. Yes. So to use the Axios and to use the endpoint, we have to import it. So press Control and space here. Import Axios. Oh, so we import Axios in the local axios.js and export default. And inside our showprice.js, we don't want to import Axios again from our global place, but we want to import local Axios. Local Axios, yes. Local Axios. And endpoint from here, endpoint.js. Endpoints, yes, it's endpoints, not endpoint, but endpoints. Get endpoints. This one, yes. Import endpoints from endpoint. Yes, this is fine. Okay, and we have 4 different endpoints here. So we have to specify which one we want to use. So in this function, we have exchange and image URL as the props. And exchange, when we go back to the app.js, is this text here, either BTC USD, ISA USD, or USD JPY, or Euro USD. And I wrote these text to be the same as the one I use in this endpoint.js. So when I put it side by side, you can see that BTC USD corresponds to this key, and ISA USD corresponds to this one, and USD JPY corresponds to this one, and Euro USD corresponds to this one. So we can use this prop, not this prop, this exchange prop coming from app.js as our key to access each endpoint inside of this object. Yes, so it's simple. So put next to endpoint, we use a square bracket here, and simply write the exchange. Yes. And by writing exchange, this exchange is passed to this exchange. And by endpoint square bracket exchange, we can access to each URL here. And Axios, because we set the base URL inside this instance, this Axios.get connects these two base URL and each unique endpoint. This is a basic structure here. And after we get the response from Axios, We get a response here. Response. Get a response, and we put it into another function. We access to the actual data inside of JSON. So JSON has much metadata, but the basic data is stored inside the data. So the first one is always data, response.data. And inside the data, we have to look each APIs. So now let's go back to the Alpha Vantage. The sample endpoint, yes, this is the sample JSON. So inside the response.data, we have this one. And the first one we have to access is this one, real-time currency exchange rate. And inside this one, we have 9 elements, 9 key value pairs. Yes, 9 key value pairs. And we want to access this fifth one, 5.exchange rate key, and it has the value of the current price, this one. So it's just copy this one, real-time currency exchange rate. This column is just separating the key and values. So this does not consist of the name of the key. So just copy here. Yes. And paste it inside this response.data, and now again use square brackets, and inside a double quotation put real-time currency exchange rate. And again I want to use another square bracket to access this fifth one, 5.exchange rate. Yes, not include the column, this one. Copy it and put it into here. Yes. And now we have the response.data, and we want to set this response, this current price, inside this price. And to put this actual price inside this price, we use this function, set price function. So to wrap everything into the set price, set price, and because this is a function, put this data inside the parentheses. Yes, done. The main part is done. And set price, we need a semicolon here. Yes. And if it throws an error, we have to catch it. And there's an error. Not console.log error, but simple error. And we use another arrow function here. And after we catch the error, we can do anything here. But in this case, I want to simply alert the name of the error. Alert error. Okay, I think it is done. So let's save it. Save it. Yes, and go back to our app. And I hope it will run correctly. So refresh my app. Endpoint is not defined. Okay, I think something is wrong here. Endpoint from endpoint. Okay. Let's save it again and make sure that I spell it correctly. Endpoints, not endpoints, but it is endpoint. Yes, I find one mistake here. Yes, const endpoints. Now refresh it again. failed to come. Use effect is not defined. Okay. So go back to showprice.js. Yes. I didn't install use effect here. So press the cursor here and press Control space and select this one and import use effect and Control save. And go back to here. Now it is running, but it shows the same price. So when I refresh it again, something went wrong. Okay, so let's inspect it. And look at the console and see no error messages, error message here. Okay, I got it. So I don't put it inside the JSX. Okay, so this is the last step. And in this use effect, I set the current price to this price variable. So I can use this price variable inside our JSX. And this is the last step. So here, inside numeral, I can simply say price here and save it and go back to here. Yes, I got the actual price of the Bitcoin, Ethereum. Dollar and euro is not changing because I'm recording it on a holiday, but Bitcoin and Ethereum is moving 24 hours, 7 days a week. So it is changing. Yes, I got to the final point. So it is responsive, as you can see here. So this, I always checking this whether it is responsive or not. So inspect it. And so this is iPhone 6, 7, 8. And the very tight one, the very small one, maybe iPhone 5. Yes, in the iPhone 5, I can show it correctly. Let's choose another one. iPhone X, it is a large one, a long one. Yes, it is shown correctly. Galaxy 5S, it is shown correctly. Yes, it is fine. In the PC screen, it looks fine. Yes, it is over. So as a wrap up from the beginning of the first video, what we achieve here is we use React and JSX to create this 4 components. So these 4 components are sharing the same showprice.js, this same file. But the reason why they are showing different currency is that we are passing different props from the app.js. So inside the app.js, our parent component of showprice.js, we are calling this showprice 4 times here. And inside this showprice, we are passing exchange and image URL as props. These are called props, and 4 different props. And because they are different, they are showing different currency images and different prices. And these props are passing these values are passing through props, via props to our showprice.js here, exchange and image URL. And this exchange and image URL are going to here and here. So this showprice.js is independent from each currency. It can be used to any currency, and we just have to change the props here to show different cards here. So when I copy this 4 line and put here, I will get another card here very easily. So you can try it. It may be very simple. Yes. And to wrap up, another thing I show you in this video, in this later part of this video, is the API key. In this example, I use the alpha vantage. It is free 5 times per minute. So when you exceed it, it will throw an error. So we need this one. So we have to catch the error. We need this one. Otherwise, if we request more than 5 times in a minute without this catch code, the app will crash because we get an error from the API. So we need this one here. And Alpha Vantage is free. And if you want to get more APIs in a minute, you can have on paid version of the key. This is Alpha Vantage, and this is a very useful one. And the other things we have achieved in this tutorial is we use useState, the one to control the variable inside the JSX here. Yes, we can. This is the only way to change the value inside our JSX. To change it interactively, we have to use useState. And inside this square brackets, the first one is the name of the variable, and the second one is the function to change the value. And we also use useEffect here. And this is called once when it is rendered, when we put this second variable, dependency array blank. Yes. And inside here, this is called only once when we render the app. And we use Axios library to connect to the Alpha Vantage from our local environment. Yes, so that's the wrap up. So thank you very much for watching this video. And if you like it, please press the thumb up button, and could you please subscribe my channel. I'll try to upload other videos as well in the future. So thank you very much for this video, and see you again later. Goodbye.